If he does one trip in the morning of people taking the books, just 100 people, waingie.
At what cost?
50 shillings.
Each?
He has 5,000.
He has 5,000.
If in the whole day, people just take his boots, like mara tatu, he has made 15,000.
Now kumbuke pia the next day, an aspiring governor might come and come up with the place. as a campaign strategy. So with that, ideally this guy shall have lost 60,000 without making a single point.
Wadau, after an engagement with our guest for this episode, Daniel Oguma, on small businesses and the Kenyan business environment in general, we felt that his vibes are worth your time.
When one of our leaders from the mountain now started saying that now, let us go down with alcohol so that at least our generations can. So ideally at that time, it wasn't wise for somebody to invest in that region. Vis-a-vis somebody who invested during the Uru's era.
Daniel Oguma runs Vanco Logistics, which is a transport company, na information yake ama knowledge yake ni very interesting, especially on how the money game is played hapa kwa SMEs.
I want to give you a very good example of how the nature of your environment or the nature of your market can affect the possibility or the capacity of an individual to start a business venture.
I'm your host, Dr. Kingori, and here's another reason to stay subscribed to our channel. Kama hauja subscribe, maze, click subscribe hapo and turn on the notifications bell. Your good vibes ifikie as many people as possible. Alafu ka polite reminder, ukicheki set yetu na inakubamba, this is happening at Wojo Africa, a premium co-working space located in Upper Hill, Nairobi, Makiwa Hotel, formerly Crown Plaza. So if you're looking for an office na uko familiar na the concept ya co-working space, you need to check out offers za Wojo. Contact details ndizi tumeweke hapa kwa screen. I'm very, let me say, unorthodox. Sijui kama that's the correct English in how I think this conversation should run, and I hope for the sake of our viewers, they will get to experience the raw version of you that I experienced in our first meeting. But I won't start from our first meeting.
Yeah.
There's something you said right before we went live. Lucrative businesses are short-lived. And there's so much that is true about that statement.
Yes.
Please break it down.
There's nothing much. It's as plain as it is. Any lucrative opportunity is short-lived. Because one, where there's money, there is politics. And now when you get an opportunity to venture into any lucrative business or opportunity, know that there are 1,000 people behind you who are fighting against you to get the same opportunity. Okay. And therefore, as you fight to develop or as you fight to explore the opportunity, somebody is fighting behind you to destroy the same opportunity and probably maybe rebuild another version of it so that it can explore and make money. Probably with the hopes that probably he'll make money the same way you are making money, though there's no surety.
So there's no way when you see people making money in a venture, they can make money there for 10 years comfortably. A lot of people are making money in this business.
Short term is relative. The business whereby 10 years is a short term period, but the business whereby 10 years is equally a long term period.
So now I'm very interested in your business experience, right? Yeah. And let's take it back from high school, right? Yes. High school, of course, unaenda shule, you want a career.
Yeah.
In high school, are you business minded in high school? Do you catch the bug in campus after? Let's see Dan. Let's see Dan in high school. Who does Dan want to become?
Dan in high school was an academician who ideally had the focus of passing to go to campus without first even looking into what will I do in campus, blah, 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 and the rest.
Just pass.
Just first pass and go to campus. If you are brought up in let me say a humble background, that is a
polite name for poverty.
A polite name for poor. Humble. You'd always want to pass and get something that could help you at least improve the level of your livelihood. Because when you were in high school, you always want to do your best, give your parents hope that one day, one time, things will twist. And they'll also have butter between the slices of the bread. So in high school, I can say, as for me, I was more of an academician, so focused to maybe pass. And ideally, it paid off, which I passed. Can say to me, I passed, then I went to campus. So the business side of me.
Kuna kitu umepita hapa na umepita juu.
Kitu gani ya?
Like in terms of your dream, I don't know kama tumeikatch sisi wote. Sema ati you be successful, alafu you mentioned bread.
Yeah.
And you almost said blue band, kupaka blue band. Like you were that bad. Like that was
it was that bad. There's nothing sugarcoated that way.
Success to you was mkate imepakwa blue band.
Exactly.
Sawa, let's establish that. Campus.
And then again now when we came to campus, having passed high school, of course, you know, we knew about 3 universities mostly. That was University of Nairobi, KU, Moi, I think, and Maseno. Those are 4. Those were the main ones.
Yes.
But of course, having went to school in the village, you always want to come to Nairobi. Nairobi, yes. So my main aim was coming to Nairobi. So when there's a good friend of mine called Eric Kiboy. So we had been family friends for some good time. His dad was my dad's best friend. Yes. So from childhood, he became my friend. So when I was joining Form 1, this guy joined KU to do Bachelor of Economics and Finance. So having joined campus, I wanted to join him where? KU. So when I went to fill my courses, it was KU. I think that time we were filling 3 courses, I think. Yes? There were 3 courses. So I filled Bachelor of Economics, KU, Economics, Finance, KU, and Economic Statistics, KU. Unfortunately, I get my calling letter and it was saying that you've been, I don't know what it was saying, but one thing I know is I was called to come and study Bachelor of Arts, General. So when I tried to inquire, I'm told that you start with several subjects, then as you go, you specialize. But then now, this friend of mine gives me up, tells me, you just come to KU, you'll come and maybe apply to change the course. But then I didn't see that the letter was indicated that I was called to go and study at KU Kitui campus. Now seeing Kitui campus was now another thing. Now I'm dead. I'm like, I'm from Homa Bay, then I'm going to Kitui. I'm like, I'd rather call off the degree, do something else. But then my brother, whom I'm following, told me, you go to campus, just go do your best, and it will pay off. So I get to KU.
Still Bachelor of Arts? Bachelor
of Arts. Okay. In fact, I landed in Nairobi. Then Eric took me from town. We went to his house, but then he was staying in Kibera. We went to Kibera the next day. Akanipeleka tukapanda gari. Yeah. Then off to Kitui. The next day I get my admission number. I go to the hostel, then I start my studies. After 2 weeks, we get some quorum and sit down and strategize on how we want to at least go to the office as a group and say we cannot study Bachelor of Arts with the kind of grades that we've got from high school. Yes, you can't get such grades and then you want to study Bachelor of Arts. So by then, you know, we knew the courses were like being a doctor, being doing medicine. And you had performed well enough to actually do that? Exactly. So we managed to have a quorum about 45 students. So we went to the campus chair's office. Then this guy, luckily enough, he gets overburdened and tells us, which course do you want to do? That was Mr. Njue, Dr. Njue, sorry, Professor Njue by then. Which course do you want to do? So I say I want to do economics, economic statistics. And all of us were called to come and do Bachelor of Arts. Then he tells us there are 2 options. You either choose to do education or you choose Bachelor of Economics. So out of the 40, 36 went for Bachelor of Economics, and then 4 went for education. Did you follow the 4 or the 36? Of course, the 36. My friend is doing economics and finance in KU and campus.
So your friend is the inspiration behind
Exactly.
you wanting to do. You don't know anything about. You don't know the opportunities that economics present.
I know, you know, by then I think one of the most, let me say, lucrative careers to say were probably working in a bank, things like that.
Okay.
So if you do economics, probably you'll be hired to be a banker. And being a banker was like, that is my dream career.
Banker.
Being a banker.
Because, and I think this misleads a lot of people. People imagine that bankers,
But of course, those guys are smart. Somebody's in
they are smart.
Every morning, somebody's in a tie, is in a nice plain shirt. And,
not smart upstairs. Angalia, Mimi, think about it this way.
Yeah.
Mimi, I look at it from this perspective. I was introduced to a concept here, not executive bankers, investment banking,
Yeah.
right? Not the banker who counts money, pale, no disrespect to the brilliant individuals, but nasema, the imagination of people who want to be a bankers is not banking as we know it. Sindio?
Yes, you know, if you come from a humble background,
You just want to work near money.
not work near money, you'd want to have a linear or a streamlined lifestyle or a streamlined growth or career growth, whatever it is.
Yes.
Just want to pass, go do a course, after the course, get a job. Because ideally, there's nowhere in your mind you will think of starting business. With what? From where? So you just want to pass,
Yes.
go take your course, finish. After that, get what? Get a good paying job. But then,
Good paying job.
yes. And with the good paying job, use your good earnings to change back home first. And then, of course, with that, it means you have to become a parent before you become a parent.
So sasa, where does this mindset change? Yeah, good paying job, change home, nini. And I like your business idea. So where does this mindset change?
No, the mindset changes in campus. You know, when you come to campus now, you interact with different people. You get your roommate. Probably, let me say you scored an A-. Then you get your roommate, he scored an A+, he's doing his clean medicine, and you are doing your economics here. And this guy is going to class from 9 maybe to noon. In the afternoon, this guy is selling sweets in the campus.
Doctors.
No, I'm giving you an example.
Okay, yes.
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 I'll give you an example.
Sweets.
Of course, by then our mindset was, if somebody happens to pass, then he should be focused with education than anything else. But yeah, now you come and find somebody who passed way more than you. He did so well in high school. But then this guy is getting into the streets
to sell sweets.
Even before the streets could barely call him to come and do something in the streets. Yeah, he starts selling sweets, or maybe
there's something about sweets in campus.
Maybe Brian can tell us, but I don't know. In campus, okay, sweets. Ideally, it's easy to sell. I can say so, and the capital is low because that packet I think goes for 500. Yes.
Capital. Staki kukupoteza. From that example.
Capital I think goes for 500. But then ukiuza kwanza hii tropical ya sahi. Yes, hii tropical imetrend.
Tropical imetrend.
Imetrend sana late.
Bole maragia. But then so now staki kupoteza hiyo point.
Yes.
Yeah, you see a classmate anaenda class,
yes,
but in the afternoon they're
doing something to generate income.
Yes.
No matter the amount of income. Ideally you'll get challenged. You'll start thinking like, then it means life is not all around education. Not all about it's all about academics. You can also do something.
Oh, okay.
So me, when I joined campus in my first year, of course, you know, you come with money from the ushagwa rambe's.
Yes.
Umepigiwa rambe ya kulipa the first semester or something like that.
Yes.
Or maybe like me, there was no rambe, but my uncles sacrificed, did their best to ensure that I paid my first semester's fee and whatever I needed to go to campus. So help comes thereafter. Now at this point now you start now interacting with some good amount of money that you didn't have before. And therefore, having been challenged, you also feel like maybe part of this money I can put into use. Maybe do something else.
Nataka tuende kwa history yako. Let's give us a case study. Like what was your first ever investment? Something you put money in.
My first ever investment was in third year.
What?
In third year.
Third year? What's third year?
Third year.
Third year, okay.
Yes, third year campus.
Yes.
In third year first semester. I had a very, let me say, a very diehard friend called Chris. So Chris, we could go eat together, but because we came from similar backgrounds. So at times, my uncle could send me money, or my mom could send me money. Then when he's not yet sent, then let us spend this one first.
Spend your money.
When yours come,
we will spend yours.
We will spend it.
Yes.
Together. So we met in second year, first semester. Then we became friends. He was doing education, maths, physics. We became friends until when it came to third year, you know, we are still in Kitui. We asked ourselves, what can we do? But we realized one thing, there are so many people from Western who are in Kitui campus who are not getting some food, who are not getting some traditional food, of which the people around here probably do not know how to prepare the food. Then why can't we open a cafeteria? So tukafungua cafeteria kadogo kwa fence ya shule nje. Hiyo gate ya kutoka. Tukajenga kibanda.
Yes.
So we are cooking ugali omena and eggs and skuma.
Omena in Kitui?
Yes, in Kitui.
Oh, you were targeting students from Western?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So that was, but then we took part of our help. Because when I think Chris brought 15, I also brought 15,000. Yes, okay. From our help.
Okay.
So tukaanza hii cafeteria. Then we didn't even advertise much. But as people could pass, they could. And Makiu, when we were starting this business, we were only cooking one meal. It was only supper.
Only
supper.
Yes.
Is it dinner or supper?
Supper.
Yes. Because in the morning, we could go to class. Then ikifika 3 p.m., we go to the hostel, take our sufurias and the rest, come and start cooking. So that now by 6 p.m., food is ready. The students come and eat. And then maybe by around 10 p.m., 11 p.m., we are done. We wash the utensils. We take it back to the hostel. We're keeping
What's the business model like? 30K, right? Do you have the mathematics of how many students you can feed in an evening?
Because I remember we were selling a plate of omena and ugali at 50 bob. But then, averagely, our average sales per day in an evening was around 4,000 to 5,000.
5,000 shillings?
Yes.
So it means in 3 days, umerudisha pesa ya Chris, in 3 days umerudisha your initial investment. Like, see you business put 30K.
Business isn't that linear.
Explain that.
Business isn't that linear. It doesn't mean that if you invested 30,000, then if you generate 5,000, then it means that this 5,000 is more of a return for what you had spent. Mark you, this is sales, but not net.
You have knowledge of this when you're doing that.
But of course, why are we doing business?
Good. So now
we're doing business to make money. Because now, at that point, now we are so bothered, and we ask ourselves, do we still want to ask money for more?
Okay.
Did we have a scenario whereby you could call home for money to eat? Then your mom tells you, let me go to the market and sell one of the chicken here. Then I'll sell you something. Did you ever, some of you see these things as just stories.
You'll be shocked. But
the things that happen. And I even still believe up today, there are still students who still go through the same.
True.
Yes.
So now you say business is not that linear.
I'm assuming, never that linear.
Break my assumption that if you can do sales of up to 5K, right, in one evening, and then your investment was 30K, it means that in 6 days, in terms of sales, you already have 30K.
Exactly. That is if the sales were consistent. But here comes a case whereby we could cook as we gauge. Are you getting me? As we gauge the average quantity of sales that we could make. Because of course, at the first day, you can't just take the big sufuria and cook a lot of food, hoping that they will come.
You are testing.
No, you first test, and one of us could sit inside, Chris sits outside and calls the students by force. Kuna ugalio mena hapa, promoter comrade. Kuna malio mena hapa, promoter comrade. Until now, it was now normal for most of for the guys from the west, from Western Kenya. It was now normal for them. Tundeni kwa dani na Kristo kule. Some could even call bana. Hey, ugali mana iko ready. Ambia hey, ugali iko ready, mana is already mboga ndio bado. Acha tukuje. And
do you the mathematics of how much, like 30k, the 30k initial investment, yes. How do you measure ujue like this size of ugali na this size of omena, as in proportion, is worth 50 bob, and overall you'll get ile pesa unataka.
Of course, there was a guy called Ken who had a cafeteria around, though he didn't know how to cook, but he was a good friend of ours. He was a very good friend of ours. He was a contractor. Hakuwa mwanafunzi. So at times we could go to him. At times there's a long holiday also, we went and did mjengo with him there, paid us some money, so we could go and see how the workers there are doing their things, how they are portioning the foods to sell them at 50 each. So at least we had an idea of what a portion worth 50 shillings could look like.
Okay. So
what becomes... you find that by then, based on the environment where we are, things vary. Because where I'll go and buy a skuma, 100 shillings to give me maybe 200 shillings, would be different from somewhere else where we can go and buy a skuma at 200 shillings and you could pay 150. The two are different. You see that? Are you getting me?
It's dependent on the purchasing power of your target market.
Exactly. The purchasing power of your target market and the price of your, let me call them the raw materials or the inputs or whatever they are. So this one helps you determine the margin that you want to make. Because ideally at times in business, it's always, it's always good to, tunasemanga in layman's language, kula kidogo lakini kule kila siku.
Kula kidogo na ukule kila siku.
Yes. Like for example, let me use this. If you sell 70 units or 70 portions worth 50 bob,
yes.
How much do you have? That is a sale of 3,500.
3,500, yes.
Now, if you decide that maybe you could still make this 3,500 by selling this portion, let's say you decide to double the price of the portion.
At 100.
At 100 bob. Because maybe let's say now, in this area there's no good omena. So of course they'll have no options.
Yes.
But a student will say, if I can't afford, let me go and what I can afford. So if you do at 100, it means that how many portions will you need to make this money? Just 35 portions. But the question is, at 100, will you sell 35 portions? No.
But you'll still get the same amount of money.
You won't get the same amount of money because you won't sell.
Oh, so if you have the portion at 100, there is no guarantee that you will even sell the 35.
The chances of a comrade buying food at 100 shillings is less than 40%. Not unless the spirit has died.
The spirit has died.
Yes.
So when we relate this to the real world, when you're doing your costing, unajua most people do business na a scenario where if I can say, for example, import this from China, bring it in Kenya, sell it for 5 times the price, right? I can make X amount of money.
It depends.
There's something wrong with that equation.
There could be.
Because
you look at now the chances of you selling the product. Because ideally, in most cases, you are going to consume. You always try to consume what you can afford.
You consume what you can afford.
Yes.
Why do ladies like Louis Vuitton, and most of them they cannot afford it, but they can save towards it? Like the idea, can your product be so good such that you can put a premium price on it and hope people will work so hard to afford it?
It's very possible. But now building a product or building a brand to that extent takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. You have to give a lot of time, resources.
There's difference between business in the initial stage and a brand.
And a brand. The two are so different. Now, at the point whereby now you want to let your target market sacrifice something beyond their purchasing power to get your product, it means you are not building a brand. But when you want to just sell, you just merely sell a product, make it affordable.
Do you think you had the opportunity to scale? Tukibaki tu hapa kwa omena, because I know you have a next business, and I would be interested to know what happens, and I believe our audience would be too, what becomes of this business. In terms of, like, do you see like a business like this being scalable? Ati, if you could do 5,000 bobs, you know,
yes,
is there a possibility that you could scale it to making 50,000 a day?
You know, ours wasn't easy because it all depended on our target market, and the target market were people, let me say 100% campus students, and to narrow it down more, we were mostly targeting on students from Western Kenya. Of course, there are students from the central, the coast, who could also experiment,
with
come
eating
and
something
eat.
that is looking at
Some
you.
could come and say, this thing is quite so, this thing is piercing my tongue, because they're not used to it.
Yes.
But then Otieno and Wafula could come
wanaimeza hata wajatafuna.
He puts down the first portion and like, can I have some water? He puts again the second portion now, let me go and rest. So you will realize that, you know, for example, for universities, they always take students every academic year, once in academic year. As the first years come, the fourth years leave. And now, being that was a small campus, in most cases, you realize that the first years were almost equal to the number of years. No, they're not equal. They were slightly more. So ideally, the possibility of our target market expanding was very minimal. So it was easy for us to manage our volume.
Yes.
Sell and avoid wastage.
Avoid wastage.
Yes. Because if you could cook more and you don't sell more, it means you'll pour them out. Because ideally, we are keeping our inputs in the hostels. There's nowhere you can go and refrigerate, maybe, let's say you are cooked omena or sukuma or ugali. You can't go keep it under the bed. No, we were keeping them under the bed. So you can't go and keep them under the bed, tomorrow wake up with them, take them again to the kibanda, then you want to go sell them. It was always possible.
No, did you, as in, like, this is literally what mulikuwa mnalala juu ya omena yenye?
Like, not as such.
No, I just need to.
Unachoma. Unachoma. No, did you go through campus? Of course, yes. You know how comrades live.
But I'm sure ni Kitui tu unaweza lala na omena chini ya kitanda.
Okay, our hostels, the hostel that we were in was a one-decker hostel. We were only the two of us. So it was easy to manage.
Okay.
Yes.
So what do you learn from this business?
From this one? Business environment dictates a lot about the future of your business.
Okay.
I know when we were starting this business, we didn't even consider factors like the Ministry of Health, Foods, or you call it Ministry of Food or Foods or whatever.
Yes.
Them, Ministry of Health, them coming to check maybe the quality of our food, the hygiene standards, the certification. And the funny bit of life is, or the funny bit of whatever happened was, some people who were seeing us as competitors went ahead to call them from Kitui town to come and put down our business, make us close down, because we were selling even way more than them, because they didn't know how to cook real food.
Yes.
So there's a day they came. Luckily enough, they found when we had brought our materials, but we had not opened. So I don't know how we got the signal. Chris was very sharp. So he told us, wanakaa watu wa health. Ebu tungoje kwanza. So one guy just came and sat there, sisi tumekaa hapo. Then after like 30 minutes akaenda. So tukaanza. Then he came back after 1 hour. But then we had to now talk as men. So we are just trying to look for some income to survive as students. Tunapika tu omena hata wewe wanja. So tukampakulia. Yeye pia akapiga ugali na omena akasikia ni tamu. And luckily enough he went back.
Does this change your lifestyle in campus? Like
It changed a lot.
In terms of like does it give you more bonga points za kuchafua meza like in campus sherehes
That was
settings?
normal.
Or it changes how you think about money depending on how hard you work to get it?
Okay, you know, at that point, I think we were at the earliest exploration stage, the earliest. And here now you get into contact with some good sum of money, bearing in mind where you had come from.
Yes.
You had come from somewhere where you could barely even eat something, some good food. And now you can make like 2,000 per day. Because ideally, by then, where we were, if we made sales of about 5,000,
yes,
and we were 100% sure that 2,500 shillings was profit.
Yes.
It was 100% profit. Yes. That one we were very, very sure.
So you would split the profit immediately?
No, we were smart enough. We could. Chris had a higher business mentality than me, so he could tell us, Dan, we chukua hii 200, chukua 200, then let us save. So we were saving, and you know, at this time, we had not finished. We had not cleared our school fee balance because we had used our help too. So we still had to look for school fee.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay. So how do you transition from this to the next business? Like, how does this change?
But of course, we did it for 2 semesters. Then in the second semester, we failed terribly.
In exams?
In exams.
So you couldn't mix.
It was a challenge.
Omena and economics.
It was a challenge. We failed terribly until we asked ourselves.
But you are deep frying omena after classes.
But now when could we study? And Makiu, we were only 2, so of course to talk about tumechoka vibaya sana.
Oh, alafu awaleti omena for exam.
Yes. Yeah. It was. So we told ourselves, my friend, let's take a break. So we called off. Then when we were going to 4th year, we transferred to main campus. We came and did our 4th year in the main campus. That was back in 2015.
Okay.
So after campus, with the same Chris, being a very good friend, we still had some capital, about 50,000, I think. So we came to Gikomba to buy fish in wholesale, then so that we could go and sell in Thika. Makongeni. There was a woman there who was selling fish, and she was making some good income. So we thought probably you could also sell.
Yes.
I tell you, Dr. Kingore, I remember we bought fish worth 18,000, me and Chris. Don't laugh. Then 10 liters of oil, because of course you have to go and deep fry. And luckily enough, the sister to Chris was living in Thika Makongeni, so alikuwa na fridge na deep freezer, so it could help us. So tukakaanga samaki vizuri sana. So tukaweka kwa tujaza kibanda. And we sold 2
fish.
I remember very well. We sold 2. Then the rest tukapegelea sister akiambia Chris, hizi samaki yaka hapa every evening 2 tunakula.
No. Okay.
And I think we lost up too fast. We the
you
first
sold just
yes, because the first day we didn't sell any. The second day we sold 2. But we realized there's no possibility of us selling more fish here even tomorrow.
But there was a woman who was selling fish and she was doing well.
You know what we did? This woman was selling fish. This is ndogo ndogo. Alikuwa nauza 50, 70, 80, 60.
Yes.
So because at least to create some variance or maybe give you more options.
Difference.
We went and took the bigger one. The ones were going for 150, 200. That marked the beginning of our fall.
You should have started politics. Big fish are not taken anywhere.
Yes, so we call it quit. Then tukaamua kuingia mjengo na Chris kidogo.
Chris alikula samaki za 17,000.
But we used to, you know, when we came to now sell fish, we even looked for a room, a single room.
Yes.
Tukalipa rent for 3 months, so that in the first as the business is trying to establish itself, at least bills like rent could not be a problem.
Yes.
Of course, supper, breakfast, we could come and eat in Chris's house. Yeah, she was very welcoming, very, very friendly. I think I need to thank her. She was a good lady, very welcoming. Yeah, so we could eat.
Samaki za 18,000.
See, 18,000.
17,800.
Let's say so. Yes. But zilikuwa tamu.
Mpaka ikaisha stock. So do you have any lessons you carry from this experience? Like, did you overinvest?
I think we didn't do proper evaluation of the market before we could start the business.
Evaluation, this being thicker, the consumption of fish.
Yes. You know, if you look, we came to realize later that if you thicker, they eat fish that has less bones. I don't know how you call it. Mudfish. By then, in Mokongeni, mudfish was doing well than the tilapia one that has a lot of. So we could have gone the mudfish way. I think we could have at least made something out of the business before we could finally call it a quit.
And is it deliberate that you come from omena and now you upgrade to bigger fish? Like, why fish? As in, because it worked before?
You know, omena was working in high school. But now when we came to visit Christ's sister, we see the neighbor selling fish and anakuja na stock ekwa hivi anauza yote. So we are like, hapa hatuoni mtu anauza omena sana. But this woman is selling fish. Then I tell Chris, you see here, we see people are living in I don't know how to gauge whether it was a lower middle class neighborhood or is there upper low class neighborhood? Is there something like that?
Upper lower class. You said upper lower class.
Is it upper lower class or a lower middle class? I don't know. Yes. There were guys who were getting considerate income. You could see based on the kind of houses people are living in the neighborhood. So we thought these people can afford a probably fish. A slightly more expensive fish. So we thought maybe can we explore this niche and see if that can sell
without losing. One, you've said you lost hope. Is there another strategy you could have applied to make sure you didn't burn, other than not buying the fish in the first place?
I think we could have, the other strategy could have been going the mudfish way. You could have, instead of selling tilapia, you could have gone for mudfish. I think we could have sold.
So fish, yes, but a different kind of fish.
Yes,
you didn't do market research.
We didn't do market research. I think we didn't do that. And
do you borrow this in your next venture? Ama bado you burned too, so you learn
from
trial and error?
After failing, we said, after that we even lost our capital. After those days, we now had nothing. Tulibaki na kama I think 7,000.
So capital, twende pole pole. Capital, you say ukiwa na 50,000, this is all you're operating with?
No. Out of this 50,000, tulitumia tu 18k kwa fish. Na tunataka tubaki na buffer kidogo, then tukarent. Hiyo nyumba zui ilikuwa ni 2,200 I think. Tukalipa deposit na tulitumia 8,800 I think. Deposit na month na rent ya 3 months so that tusisumbuliwe. So tukianza biashara ni kwenda.
That's fair. But then how do you manage hii kitu ya I have 50k but this is for business? Like, how do you decide not to buy a nice shoe from this 50k? How do you decide not to spend differently? What do you spend from the 50k? Because you're only talking about business. Like,
yes, no, if what you know, in business, it's always wise to start small. Yes? So now you look at what probably you could sell in a day. You just evaluate. Because this is probably, let's say we'll sell 10. Because this is samaki, the one that we are selling at 120, yes, we took at 80.
So there's 40 bob on top.
There's 40 bob on top. But unajua sasa pia hapa kuna cost ya oil na kuni.
You have to do that micro mathematics.
Yes, it is
so
very
necessary. This 40 bob is the
but today if you look
na transformer it was not discovered by the time you guys were in business.
No, we wanted to just go the clean way.
Oh, you weren't
because hata hiyo ya transformer ungepata wapi? Hiyo lazima ujue mtaa.
So you guys were not.
Amu utapanda tu kwenye power uende uchukue. I don't know how that thing works. Hiyo mambo ya
electrocuting.
Yeah, hiyo mambo ya kupika na hiyo oil ya.
So you guys were doing clean oil.
We went hata tulienda tukanunua mafuta kwa duka 10 liters then tukaanza kupika.
So E40 bob is when you buy at 120,
When you buy
at 80 to sell at 120, right? Do you apply knowledge economics hapa?
Of course.
How much?
Of course, because if averagely, I remember if we were selling fish at 120, for the ones that we bought at 80, probably the cost of oil and firewood could take 10 shillings. Yeah, because you now look at the whole stock, the whole inventory. Now when it comes to economics, the whole stock, then you may break down. Now tumetumia kunia ya 200 kuchoma samaki 20. Tumetumia mafuta ya ngapi? Ya maybe 3 liters. Because mafuta unajua unamwaga inachoma, but then still you can recycle it.
You can recycle.
Yes, it's possible. You can recycle it.
So samaki ya kesho inachomeka na DNA ya samaki ya jana.
Kwanza ndio inakuwa tamu. But that is by the way. That is just by the way. Okay. So the math was mathing. If we could sell, still we could make good profit. But the painful bit of it, we didn't sell. Yes. Yeah. So we called it off. Somehow then we said, let's now find something else to do. Let's give business a break. We gave business a break.
You stopped?
We stopped business then.
Did you eat the remaining money?
Of course, but there's a time that we stayed in think of about 1 month doing nothing, looking for jobs. Yes, we were looking for jobs in Thika, but mostly casual jobs. Because ideally hata tulikuwa tumepata nini? Tulikuwa tumepata certificate. Yeah. Tulikuwa tumegraduate bado. We were waiting for graduation. Yes, so tukasema now that we bado tunangoja kugraduate, let's take a break. Tukama let's we done mjengo before tukaingia mjengo. But then nini tumejenga ikiwa sisi kama ilikuwa 3rd floor ama 4th floor. Mount Kenya University Towers. Okay. Kama ile jambo the first day tulienda tukapeana idea yetu, wakaona imeandikwa Otieno and Odhiambo. Katembea you people come tomorrow. The next day when we came tulipewa kazi. Tulifanya kazi hapo for about so was it 6 days, then we came back to Kibera.
What's the relevance here? Why they called you back after seeing your ID?
They didn't call us back. Of course we just went. Hiyo siku hakukuwa na kazi, so tukarudi tu. Then the next day when we went, sasa kulikuwa na kazi, tukapewa kazi. But sisi tuli translate maybe sasa juu sisi atutoki huku, labda ndio maana tumenyimwa kazi. But I don't think if it was so.
It wasn't.
I don't think, because kama ingekuwa hivyo the next day atungepewa kazi.
Okay. You hooked me with a statement you made. That in business, you have to allow your employees to steal from you a little bit. It's an informal, yes, it's informal. There's a way you explain it.
I wouldn't say it such. Okay, in business, you must absorb some some slight theft losses for you to progress.
For you to progress,
yes,
you must absorb.
As in, yani ni kawaida tu kwa biashara lazima uibiwe kidogo ndio uendelee.
And na ni unajua.
To me, maybe let me call them blind incentives.
Blind incentives.
Yes.
Why would you, is there a problem with, like, unajua, this is where wanakufinyia, you give them that deliberately. Uambie, by the way, I'll give you this from this. Versus, aibe, but ujifanye ujui.
If you give them, there'll be that entitlement. And therefore they'll feel like they need to still look for the other one that they think you don't know, but ideally you know.
Or as long as you acknowledge, so they will be entitled to that, they will still somewhere.
Exactly.
So you pretend
like you don't know, but of course, I want, for example, even at workplace, always employees tend to get motivated when they get, I don't know whether you call them bonuses or incentives, whatsoever.
Yes.
When somebody comes for, of course, when every month, every employee gets paid a salary. He gets paid as a given salary. But now when this guy decides to work extra time, you tell for extra time, I'll give you 500 shillings. He or she will get motivated to work. Sindio? Because atapata hii extra time. But now, if you don't give out the bonus, he'll be like, hata hiyo hawalipi. I must not come. Or if you insist that they must come and they have no options, they'll come and do it for the sake of
doing it. Just to keep the job.
Just to keep the job. But if there's an incentive, it's more of a motivation.
Give us an example, like a prom example. Like how does this work? Ideally, in a real life scenario.
In a real life situation.
Yes.
For example, tuseme hapa tao.
Yes.
Mtu ako na stall ya manguo. Si ndio? Then unaandika mse. So let's say for the men's khaki trouser, let's say it goes for, unamwambia the lowest price you should sell that trouser is 1150. But of course this guy you pay him, let me say 10,000 per month, isn't it?
Yes.
Of course you know the value of your stock. So of course you know that these units have been sold if it goes for this amount, blah blah. But then when this guy comes, he realizes that he can still convince customers to buy a trouser maybe at 1250 or at 1300.
They have a markup on top.
So there's a markup that this guy is making from selling a single unit. So ako sure maybe akienda home, he'll go home maybe additional 500 shillings. That is enough for him for that day. Tomorrow he'll be motivated to come and again come with the vigor of selling more units too. And
this is under circumstances that they do not affect your final stock.
No, they should not affect your target profit. That is one. Of course, what do you mean your final stock?
The target profit.
Yes,
because if yours, wewe unataka 1150, so you are allowing them to be a broker in your business.
Silent brokers.
Silent brokers.
Of course, he's an employee, but it's more again a silent broker.
Wouldn't it be okay? Would you, if you knew that your employee sold something with a margin, like say 200 bob on top, and they didn't declare that, you wouldn't be entitled to that?
You can't be entitled to it, but the other way, but then you can question that maybe with a lot on.
Like, or you question with a lot on?
Yeah, with a lot on. So that akifanya asiende sana.
Okay.
Yes. But of course, this person, you know, when this guy is motivated, still when he or she gets a customer that will buy at 1150, he'll still be willing to sell. Because he also has to make sales to get paid. So that is true.
Yes.
Yes. So if things get tough, he'll sell at 1150, but when he gets a chance to maybe make a slight or a small markup, then he'll also... So
can this be solved by giving them a commission? What would we call it? A commission on sales at the end. So it is in their best interest to sell even at 1400, so they increase the margin of what they get clean at the end.
Based on my experience, I don't think so.
It is more important for a person. It's more important what they can make.
You know, in this scenario, I always think that with acknowledgement comes entitlement. But then now, after that, now he or she gets the urge to now explore another hidden niche that probably could still bring more.
What has been your most exciting business?
Most exciting business? I think transport.
Transport.
Yeah,
so you went from fish to transport
from
directly,
fish,
or you have experimented with other things?
From fish, after graduation, I took a break, got into freelancing, being an economist. So I got into freelancing for some time.
Economist?
I'm an economist. I did Bachelor of Economics.
Yes, but kuna gigs za freelancing as an economist?
Yes, there are. You can be an economic advisor. Probably.
Kenya has opportunities for economic advisors.
Most of them are not.
Nasi your government.
Most of them are not in Kenya.
Oh, most of them are not in Kenya.
Most of them you can do them with international organizations.
Most
of them are on. Yes.
Okay.
And you do them online. Then probably I also ventured into online tutoring, whereby I could do online lessons for some time. Then I did it from 2016 up to 2019. That's when I got to transport, because I got some small capital. Okay. Yeah, so in 2019, a friend of ours, still also a high school friend, invited into transport. So that is when we and advance tried at least and venture transport, and that's what we still do now. That's now our major source of income up to date.
So as in transport sticks compared to the other businesses?
According to me, yes.
What inspires this? Like the returns?
The returns...
Because transport business, for the most part, people always talk about it being a cash flow business, not necessarily a growth business.
The transport business is very, very wide. I think the one that you talk about as a cash flow business is the matatu one. But there's the other transport, whereby the one that involves the trailers, the lorries, you transport goods from point B to C, then you get paid for the logistics.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me and Evans, we did the logistics one.
So the essence, what is the scalability? Buying more vehicles, how does it play in wealth creation?
Of course.
In this sense,
yeah.
Like if you have a vehicle, can it guarantee your journey to financial freedom? Ama, it's survival. Step one.
I think business ideally is never certain. There's no guarantee that you'll finally climb up to your financial freedom level in business. You still just do your best, do your mathematics, do your things right, and you work out your margins probably, and you give yourself time. From transport, there's one thing that I learned, that it's always good to start small, scale up slowly and consistently, and probably you will grow.
You have a very beautiful example from that. You start small, and you used lorries, for example.
Yes, for example, for lorries, because as we do lorries, for example, it will be very easy to access financing and get a 7-ton lorry. Yes. Now for this 7-ton,
7-ton ni mugungapi?
7-ton mugusita, the Farrar and the 7.5 tons. Yes.
Yes.
The Farrar and the Fetch.
Yes.
And
it's easy to get financing to get one.
For the start,
yes.
It will be a lesser burden for you when you're starting. Then now, if the income is considerate, so probably you might pay the loan from your income, finish the loan. After that now, having finished the loan, then now you can think of maybe creating some buffer capital before you even move to your next unit. Because business is all about numbers. Transport business is all about numbers. It's all about, if one unit can give me 50,000, then let me have 3 units that can give me 50-50 each. I have 150.
But
than struggling to make 150 with 1 unit.
Oh, that's what you mean by starting small.
Yes.
You'd rather start with a small. No.
That's not like that. What I meant is starting small means always have the lightest financial burden when you're starting your business. I don't know whether you're getting me. Like if you have
the lightest,
yeah. But also it depends on the opportunity that you will have. Like if you're getting into transport, you have a new lorry of that nature. I think goes for around 7 to 8 million. That is a new FH. I think so. I'm not really sure about that. But then you can, if you have enough money, you can opt for this, or go for a second hand. That probably might go for between 2 to 3 million. Ideally, based on the opportunity that you've gotten to venture into, or maybe where you'll want to take your truck to go and maybe generate some income, these 2 trucks will bring the same amount of money.
The second-hand one and the new one. Same amount of money.
But this one will give a lesser financial burden than this. Because for this, if you have 1 million, you can go for a loan of 1 million. But for this now, if you have 2 million, meaning you're going for a loan of 5 million.
The problem is when you buy an old one that you're getting for 2 million, yes, the financial burden comes in the maintenance cost.
I don't think so. That is another differently wide aspect of lorry transport either way. Because maintenance costs depend on so many factors. Yes. Even the nature of roads still affect the maintenance.
But why would I sell a good lorry for 2 million and it can guarantee me income as good as someone who buys the same for 5 million?
Probably you are selling because whatever, you don't have the same opportunity that I have. Probably you bought a lorry, got a contract, the contract is over. You don't even take the lorry. And as for me, I have another opportunity whereby I'm being told that there's a chance here for generating this income or for this transport. Can you bring us this lorry? We'll give this amount of money at the end of the month.
Does it mean that there are people who invest wrongly by not weighing options? Like, let's say someone is interested in the lorry business,
Yes.
and they want a new one, but if they check the market carefully, they may find one for half the price, but will give you the returns equal to the new
Equal
one.
chance, of course, yes. The people, maybe, you know, somebody will, let's say, I was telling you, if you get a lorry that is worth 2.5 million and you have 1 million capital, it means you'll go and borrow 1.5.
Yes.
Are we together? Now, somebody has a stronger financial muscle, then he gets the same opportunity. This guy probably he'll go for a new lorry. Yes?
Yes.
Or maybe 7 million. So if those two lorries were generating an income of 120,000 per month, that is supposedly.
Yes.
Yes? This guy needs about, assuming that this is the net of net, this is what he gets after deducting fuel, after deducting overhead costs, salaries and the rest, he gets 120. The other guy also gets 120. It takes the guy who started small, who started with the 2.5 worth lorry, about 14 months. Yes? Is it 14 months? 14 times. Let's say 20 months to break even. Now with an income of 120,000, when will it take you to break even having invested 7 million? It will be a very long period.
Yeah.
And what makes you sure that within this long period, this business will still be performing
relevant
at the same rate?
What makes me sure is by the time I'm buying this lorry, same lorry, for 2 million, someone has used it for a long time, right?
Yes.
I'm talking, let's say, 5 years.
Yes.
Before they can sell it to me for 2 million. And I want to milk another 5 years from it. So it means then Basi, when used properly, even the new one is
No,
still
what I
has
meant
time.
to say is you guys are doing the same business. Assuming, like for example, when the current government, the current regime got into power, they came up with the project of supplying farmers with saliva, with fertilizers.
Yes.
So of course they needed third-party transporters, yes?
Yes.
So of course, guys who maybe had registered companies would go and bid for the transport jobs.
Yes.
Together. But this kind of contract can go for a maximum of 5 years. Is that not true?
True.
But subject to political influence, meaning it can even collapse within 2 years.
Yes.
But if this project happens to go for 2 years, then happens to collapse, with that 2 years, the 2.5 investor has broke even.
Yes.
So if the 7 million investor is not even halfway.
So he can sell the lorry even at a throwaway price.
So it means by then, the 2.5 million investor will be having his lorry burden free. Are we together? Loan free. He has his lorry, loan free. He can do another business that maybe will give him lesser income at peace. But then the 7 million investor would look for an equally lucrative venture so that he can sustain.
Which is also not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed.
Before we let you go, what have you learned about scouting for opportunities?
Scouting for opportunities?
Yes.
Always.
Like, before, what factors do you consider before you put money into something?
Business is as simple as being at the right place, at the right time, with the right people.
It's not a gift. It's not a blessing.
I want to give you my case. When I got in transport, a friend saw an opportunity, and it found when we had shared some time back that I wanted to invest. So he invited me. So at that time, I had the finance.
You had planted
I
a
had
seed
the money.
of interest.
I had the money that I wanted to invest, but I didn't know where to invest. I was in contact with the right person who was in the right place.
Ah.
And now with that, I got into transport.
So this concept of what can you start with X amount of money only works if you have the right network.
Yes. Your network is your?
So you had money to invest, but you did not have somewhere to invest in.
Yes.
So this also breeds, like, you don't do trial and error.
It helps you minimize, how do you call it? It helps you minimize, let me call it misplaced investments.
What's misplaced investments?
You invest money wrongly. Like, for example, I want to give a good example. Inside business information is very important.
Inside business information.
Yes. Somebody who tells you how business has been performing for a given period of time, and therefore it is either wise to venture into it because this business can sustain or can continue the same way for a given, probably for a given period of time, that probably within that period you shall have broke even or not. Like, for example, when did Bitcoin come?
2009.
2009.
Yes.
And that time Bitcoin was?
Very low, I think, 9 shillings, something.
9
It
shillings.
was
And
very
then,
low.
by
I just know in
20
2016, one could go for 60,000. Just recently, one was going for 12 million. Between 7 to 12 million.
For 12. There's a time that one Bitcoin was going for 32 million. When was it?
I don't think we've gotten there yet, but they are predicting that by 2032, it should be going for $1 million.
Bitcoin?
Yes.
Then I think I'm misinformed about it. But there's a time that the value of Bitcoin went so high, and after that, the graph
Started dipping.
So it means that if somebody who had a Bitcoin and maybe was so agitated to invest into Bitcoin by this time, when the investment rate was at peak,
yes,
then this guy takes, maybe, let's say, because it's more of an international venture, it takes $1 million and invested here.
yes,
With the hope of maybe selling this after 1 year. Then after 1 year, the value of Bitcoin falls by half.
You've lost.
It means you shall have lost $500,000.
Yes.
$500,000. While in essence, you were investing to make more.
You're begging on the market going higher than it already
Higher
is.
than it, but it doesn't. But if in case he had sufficient inside information, probably he couldn't have invested in that. Somebody could have advised him that probably it's not the right time to maybe explore this. Can you hold on or maybe try something else?
But insider information is touted as a crime. Are you saying that in reality, business, like success in business, cannot work without inside information?
Not that much. I'm not saying so. What I'm trying to say is there's what we call progressive business evaluation. Now, if you can do that and have some consistent trend, then you can at least try to gauge the probability of maybe making profit out of a given business.
Okay.
Are we together?
Understood.
Yes, like what example can I give?
Buying land?
Like not land. I'm trying to look at a cash flow. A cash flow business.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I want to give you a very good example. Like now, the liquor industry.
Yes.
During the previous regime, during the Uru's regime, selling alcohol was somehow lucrative.
The in thing, yes.
Yes. Until when the next regime got into power and started fighting the business. When you remember, because ideally, political influence is always a serious key factor
in business.
To consider in business.
You can't ignore that.
You can't ignore that because every business operates under the Kenyan law and maybe the county rules and regulations. Do you call them clauses or what?
And
business clauses or whatsoever.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, things like that. So I remember when I don't know, when one of our leaders from the mountain now started saying that no, let us go down with alcohol so that at least our generations can. So ideally, at that time, it wasn't wise for somebody to invest in that region. Vis-a-vis somebody who invested during the Uru's era.
So we have...
Because probably when that war started, somebody will tell you not to invest because you don't know where this war will end. Probably they might end up shutting down maybe 30% of the industry.
We have... Okay, you speak to short term, right?
Yes.
And it's a very interesting way to look at things.
Yeah.
Before you start, try predicting the lifespan
just try predicting
of the business pegged on the information available.
Yeah.
But we have businesses that run run in a family from generation to generation.
Yes.
And they give an impression, if well taken care of, a business can run forever.
Yes.
I've met someone in industrial area who said that their family has been in the furniture business for 400 years.
Okay, every business has what you call an oscillating phase. As in,
Yes, curves.
Now, for any kind of business venture to maybe go for a given or a significant long period, then the investors must have serious financial buffer. So that in the event that when the business is making losses, they have the capacity to sustain the business till the time that they will start making profit.
You have to have a backup to ride out the down waves.
Yes. And with the hope that when now the up waves come, they will be able to recover the losses and make profit.
That's a brilliant thing to say because I saw that at Nation. One time, the former CEO told people that, guys, don't worry, we are not going to fire people. I think former CEO, he said, we are not going to fire people. We have enough, we have loaded up enough to, it wasn't COVID. There's something that happened. It was Linus Mutai said that we have money to, don't worry.
It's sustenance for them.
Yes. We are making losses, but tutakuwa sawa.
Yes.
And when you come to think of it, the Nation Media Group was started, I think, imekuwa long.
Imekuwa long, yeah.
Something very
like
many
that.
Years. So, and when you think about it, you know your operation costs, you know you can take the hit for this long. So should that be a strategy to start your business? Like, you run with operations and unajua, even if you were to make losses for 2 years, 3 years, we can still continue as normal.
As normal. Because, of course, in business, we'll have the fixed and the variable cost. So for the fixed cost, that maybe for the fixed cost, things like rent, maybe I'll spend, let me say 20,000. For the variable costs, they will vary, but then it won't go beyond or below this. Maybe if you, let's say, the variable costs are at 30,000. So you're telling yourself that during the time that we'll be making losses, the variable cost will be at average 30,000. But we are sure it can go below, maybe to 20, or up maybe to 40. But it can't go way above to the extent that we can't sustain. So that by the time that now the business starts picking up, we can still sell, we can still run, sell, recover the losses that we had during our downtimes, and make profit.
So then, Basi, what should be the goal to start? Ulisema kitu hapa. I had money, but I didn't have something to invest in, right? That's one.
Yeah.
Number two, you have a business, but you know this business cannot go past 3 years.
Yes.
Right? After 3 years, should you adapt and change into something else? Is there an end goal? Like, will you keep changing the businesses mpaka you find something that can last forever? Or it's purely survival mode until you make enough money?
There are people who always work on survival modes. There are people who believe in doing short-term businesses. Anafanya he makes money, he walks away, he does this. But there's one person who does short-term business with long-term goals. Like for example, someone like me, I can say I'm doing short-term business with the long-term goals. Probably, almost not for most business. The most peaceful business venture is always real estate.
Peaceful.
I can say it's peaceful, less stressful. The least stressful is real estate. The worst you can deal with are tenants. What else? Is that not true? Yeah, and if you can see, most business people who did so well, in their final ages, they venture into real estate.
It offers better store of value.
Better store of value for the longest time, and it can go past one generation.
Yes.
So it means that what you are doing is long term. It's not only for you, even for your grandchildren. So you can do short term business as you focus on the long term business. Are we together? So it means that this one helps you build this progressive. As this one still runs, you take a portion of this to build this one. So that by the time the long term business is well built, you can as well decide to abandon the short term business to avoid much stress. Because whatever you are doing at 30, 40, you can only do it at 60, 70.
Okay.
Because you don't have the same energy.
Okay.
Yes. But you can get something slightly close to the income that you're getting before from the long term investment.
Okay. In your experience, what's the most creative thing you've seen? Because most people cry capital, access to capital. And I think someone introduced me to a very interesting concept last week, Bishop Dr. Luke. Very interesting concept. We confuse wealth creation for wealth circulation, right? We think there's money, wasewa kona do. Kumbe ni the people who have money, ndio seme kama when you see buildings coming up, it's not that the people have gotten money, it is people with money are putting their money now
to work for them.
Yes. So the game is very different for upcoming people to put together capital to access the big money game.
Yes.
So what's the most creative way you've seen people raise capital and access the big money game?
The most creative way I've seen is a case of one friend of mine that I won't mention him.
Don't say Tutor Evans.
No, he's not the one. But the most creative way is always going slow. Yes. Try to go slow and be consistent. And always make what we call calculated moves. So that when you move slow, you can calculate your moves. Say that maybe probably if I'm making 200,000 from my business, like for example, from my business in Nairobi, and you don't have a home, how can you lower your financial burden? First, let rent be 10% of your income. Your fixed cost, lower your fixed cost, less than 10% of it, so that's 20,000. You are left with 180. Yes? From this 180,000, you can say that from this 180, let me invest 30,000 in SACCO. SACCO savings, whereby maybe after a given period of time, you can get a given amount of loan, maybe 3 times or 4 times your savings. So assuming you are investing 30,000 every month into a SACCO, which still this is figurative, it's not that easy with this income in Nairobi. So let's be
with 200K, it's not realistic to save 30K.
Not realistic. It's not.
Tunaenda hapo.
Let's talk about 10,000.
Na kungoja hapo kwa go invest and get a loan, but endelea.
Let's say already you have short-term business in there.
Yes.
So you are investing this in you are making your long-term calculations.
Yes.
While you still run the short-term business. So let's say you're pushing 10,000 into a SACCO every month. So it means that every month, if you're putting this amount to a SACCO, at the end of the year, you'll be having 1.2 million. Ceteris paribus, or all factors held constant.
120,000, not 1.2 million.
If you are saving 10, asiazoea pesa mingi, 120,000, sorry.
Yes, way.
So for 2 years, let's now calculate for 10 years. You'll be having 1.2 million.
Kenya shillings.
Only.
Hatujaongea inflation, right?
No.
Because this is losing value.
That's what I'm talking about. Ceteris paribus, all factors held
Constant.
constant. So you have 1.2 million within 10 years.
10 years.
So with this one, it means you can access a loan of a maximum of what? 4.8 million. Is that not true? But still, you are running your short what? Your short term.
You are running your short term. Hapo umefika mahali nilikuwa nataka ufike. You can access a loan of 4.8 million. Sawa.
But don't be duped to go and take this, because if that business happen to fail, this one is going to run down, because even this one will not be able to pay this loan.
So now we'll give you something called the Engineer Kimori Challenge.
Yes.
That happens on this show. You can get a loan of 4.8.
4.8 with 1.2.
Thank you.
That is 4 times your savings.
This mathematics has not been solved.
Yes.
And no guest has been able to hack the math.
Yes.
Engineer Kimori proposed on this show that with a capital of 2 million shillings in this economy, you cannot make 50,000 shillings net profit every month. Is that true or false?
90% true.
I'm interested in the 10%. 20 kwa 10%.
90% true.
How do you justify your 10% truth?
I want to give you a very good example of how the nature of your environment or the nature of your market can affect the possibility or the capacity of an individual to start a business venture.
Okay.
For example, in Nairobi, let's take typically CBD. In CBD, if you just get a shop, you want to start a business, without stock, if you have 200,000, let's say most stalls in CBD go for between the cheapest one go for 30, yes?
Yes.
Let's look like the ones at the famous cement. Yes, the 30,000. Yes. And always, if you want to acquire a shop in town, they tell you, manage you 30,000 deposit with the rent of 3 months. Already that is 120,000.
Yes.
And then there's some things called goodwill. So you have that amount. So ideally, this 100,000 is over.
You have a shop, but it's empty.
It is empty.
Yes.
12,000 is.
Yes.
Imeisha kabisa.
Done. And that is your capital yote.
Imeisha.
You've saved for 2 years.
You've saved. But assuming you went to a place like Kakamega. Which university is in Kakamega? Masinde Muliro, yes?
Yes. Okay, yes.
I think it's Masinde Muliro.
Let's assume.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Assuming you went to a place like Kakamega with 200,000, and let's say already with 200,000, the level of competition has barred you from starting business. You can't start. But now you decide to move to Kakamega and focus on the student population as your target market. Yes.
Okay.
And maybe get some room to maybe start a cafeteria. Like that's what I can talk about because that's what I've tried.
Yes.
Of course, you'll get that room for maybe about 10 to 20,000. Even if you have to do the goodwill, of course, it is 4 months, so that is 40,000.
Yes.
Let's say the goodwill, whatever they're saying, is around also 40,000. That is 80.
Yes, you have 120.
You have 120. Can you start this cafeteria with 120,000? It's very possible.
But then
with the population, you will sell.
But sasa you now need to push volumes to
Yes.
bridge your numbers.
Yes. If we are not even looking at the terms, we are looking at the possibility of putting up a venture before you talk about the returns. The nature
or the cost of putting up
a venture.
Yes. Environment. Good.
Yes.
Good point. Yes.
Are we together? So it means that with this 2 million, there's somebody who can make 50,000, but probably not in Nairobi. But maybe if he gets a highly lucrative venture.
And a highly lucrative venture, from the beginning of this conversation, ni short term.
Most of them are short term. And short term, as I told you, is
relative. So it is you to actually do research to know what short term means in the venture
that you're going to put your money into.
So, assuming you remove the environment concept,
Yes.
right? Assuming you have 200K to
Yes.
stock in Nairobi and you want to sell online compared to, because commerce has changed.
Yes.
Versus someone who has 200K in Kakamega, Nairobi still gives you a better advantage.
Highly, way better advantage.
So format
but now
and
still
your
it depends on what venture.
For someone who starts.
Can you tell me you can put a shop in CBD to sell fertilizer in Nairobi? Yes? Is it possible? Is it possible?
Okay.
Yes. As for me, I even think, for example, I always see this shop there's this roundabout when you get into Thika Road. The Simlo.
Simlo, yes.
The Simlo. Of course, it's one. How many of such shops can you see in CBD?
And I think Simlo has some. There's something about Simlo because I tried and failed terribly at agriculture, and I was referred to Simlo for the seeds. Specifically to Simlo, there's some element of things that it is only Simlo can do.
Probably, maybe you now don't know.
So I was farming like sijui how many counties from Nairobi, but I had to get seeds from Simlo. What does this say about this venture?
I don't have much information about that.
Like, but that we have to travel. As in, have you had businesses where the location does not matter? It doesn't matter. Like, niaje, people want to sell clothes in Kisumu, but they have to come to Isli.
Location matters. It does. Can you come to Isli to get 5 trousers to go and sell in Kisumu?
Show imeisha basi, sawa.
No, I'm just asking you because ideally location matters a lot. Location matters a lot because ideally I want to give you an example. This is why location matters. I'll still go to any mega or any big business building in town. You'll find that the front shops sell more than the shops inside. Yes. That is one. But then again, we also realize that the same product, this same phone, probably maybe if you go to, which house is that? There's this house opposite Menti House where they sell phones. I don't know that building. Maybe at the front side of the shop, you'll get vendors selling this phone maybe for 58 or 55,000. Lakini ukiingia kichochoro ndani, the same phone, maybe you'll get a discount of about 3,000. Why? Because these guys have accessibility to more customers than you. And you also want to sell to pay your bills and make profit. So the location matters a lot. The cost of operating the shop,
yes, at the front, again, they will pay more, they will pay premium compared to you who's
they'll pay more, yes, but they'll sell way more units. So that the volume of sales will mark up the difference. Because for example, this is the shop. Huyu jamaa ako hapa na huyu ako hapa. Watu 100 wakipita hapa, and out of these 100 people, 10 people need phones. These 10 people who need phones, at least 8 of them will first ask the shop first before they even consider that there's a shop inside. Si ni kweli?
Yes.
Maybe 2 who are informed. Aliambiwa wewe ukiingia hivi, ingia ndani usiongee na hawa nje. Ingia tu ndani hapo. You will get this shop written blah blah blah, go there.
Yes.
Mwambie mimi ndio nimekutuma nilinunua hapo. Something like that. So probability of maybe out of these 8, before they know that probably there is somebody inside here. Probably or maybe this guy at the front selling to 4 is very high. But it still doesn't mean that the 4 who have left here, who have come here, all of them are coming to buy.
Then what do you say about the concept of you don't need capital to start a business? In this sense, like people overthink the concept of I need 100K to get started. Of course, you have drum support for the concept of starting small. Is it possible to start with nothing, just ideas? I'll put to you an example. This is one of my favorite ideas. I am yet to go check and verify how it worked. A guy alikuwa Kikomba market. Akanotice Kikomba, there's inaitwaje kuna matope always. So he comes up with a concept and buys gumboots. right? So when shoppers come, you leave your shoes with him, pay 50 bob, he gives you a pair of gumboots, you go shop, then come back, pick your shoes. And I did the math. I was like, if he was to buy 100 pairs of gumboots, at the time I was doing this math, a pair was going for 600, right?
So that is 60,000. That is 6,000.
60,000 to buy the 100 pairs.
6,000.
60.
600, yeah, 60,000.
Yes,
sorry. Yeah.
60,000. So if he does one trip in the morning of people taking the boots, just 100 people, waingie.
At what cost?
50 shillings.
Each.
He has 5,000.
He has 5,000.
If in the whole day, people just take his boots like mara tatu, he has made 15,000.
Now ukumbuke pia the next day, an aspiring governor might come and tamak the place. as a campaign strategy. So with that, ideally this guy this guy shall have lost 60,000 without making a single coin. So that's what I'm telling you. Business is never certain. Yes. Business is never certain. But of course, if this business happens to run for like 1 year, this guy shall have made a lot of money. Yes.
Okay.
But you know, if this guy shall have, but then if you if this guy
never run for office, where?
Yes.
You should never run for office.
No, just listen. If this guy,
ukona roho mbaya by the way.
Like,
why would you even think of that?
If this guy runs for 1 year, he shall have made a lot of money. Si ni ukweli? Ama ni uongo?
Yes, ni ukweli.
But at the same, if the unfortunate happens, he shall have lost probably 60,000. Unless sasa fungue biashara kuuza gambut. You are gonna stock.
Na ni gambut ziko na mileage.
Zina mileage. So of course haja nini? Hazina mileage. Haja nini? Ni wenye ameenda kanunua kuja kuweka hivi. Ndio hiyo katapila iko hapo ndani.
Sasa biashara yako haina matope.
Yes.
Sawa.
Yes. But if this guy was to think that way, angeuna hizo gambut. Angefikiria hii mambo ya aspiring governor kukuja kunini? Kudevelop your place, maybe in the next day na akose biashara. Haezi.
Unajua kwa nini uko na roho mbaya? You have done this. Okay, Gikomba has not been tarmacked. And then you have done what most people do. You mentioned that if this guy would have thought like this. My friend Gor Semelango alisema it's called analysis paralysis. You analyze yourself and then you paralyze yourself.
Yes.
You have a good idea,
yes.
Then you look at the worst that can happen,
yes.
And then
in the worst case scenario.
How have you even managed?
So if you know in business, if the worst case scenario can still give you some hope, then it's good. Please go venture into it.
Okay. Sawa.
Sindio. Like in this case, but let me just give you the example of your lorry. Let's give the worst case scenario. You have 2.5 million.
Yes.
Then you get a contract of maybe transporting fertilizers to Kakamega and where from Nairobi, maybe from the government or whatsoever. Then you go and buy this lorry. Then you look at the worst case scenario of this business. The worst case scenario, one of them can be in the process of transporting the fertilizer, gari pati ajali, ikiwa written off. The insurer will compensate you.
Yes.
If the goods are insured, they'll compensate the insurer. What you shall have lost is time.
Yes.
Another worst case scenario is you can do this project, being that it's a political project, and do it for maybe 2 months or something, then it stops. Yes? You will be having your money in the capital, in the track. And if you'll have made, let's say come on 100K, if you'll have made, let's say 600,000. Yes?
Okay.
So you've lost business, but you haven't lost your... So the worst case scenarios of this venture still give you positive hope.
Always count for the worst case scenario.
Of course, yes. But if the worst case scenario gives you a scenario whereby whatever remains is probably your life,
yes,
I think
twice.
You should think twice.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Asante sana for sparing your time.
Karibu sana. Thank you for inviting me.
Asante.
Hopefully another time we shall be here another day.
Asante.
Thanks so much.
Karibu.